Welcome to Backyard Philosophy, a podcast where a couple friends grab some cold ones, sit around the fire, and talk about science, philosophy, and history. Crack one open, sit back, and get a good laugh as we discuss everything from automation to why the meaning of life is 42.
It's getting near Christmas time, and everyone's probably thinking about putting up or have put up their Christmas tree. Going out and getting your own Christmas tree used to be pretty common. Now most people buy them from a lot, but getting your own Christmas tree has made a comeback. Today we're going to talk about how to do that responsibly, legally, and try and help the environment out in the meantime. Before we get into that, Mike, how are you doing? What are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking some Tito's vodka, which is keeping me warm during these holiday seasons, but not too bad. How about yourself?
I got some Rogue Mogul Madness. It's a winter ale to be in the holiday cheer. I didn't feel like I'd waste the time to make an actual winter drink, but here we are. So getting a Christmas tree on public land. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. But so the first step is going to be figuring out what public land is near you. Now, if you're outdoorsy at all, you probably know what public lands are around you. And you're not looking for parks, you're looking for national forest or state forest. You're not looking for state parks or national parks because most of the time they won't let you cut your own Christmas tree. But check the website to see if it is or give them a call. If you do find that they'll sell you Christmas trees, usually it's like $5 for a permit. And then that's pretty much all they'll help you with. So now you know, say, where you can get a Christmas tree. You have permission to go and cut a Christmas tree. Now, how do you get there and how do you know you're on the right ground? Now, the problem with that is the government doesn't do a lot of managing their timber. So traditionally, I'd say normally the government only has older stands of trees.
And I'll be honest with you, from my limiting of a land survey I've had to do, it's already fucking hard enough when there aren't lines in the sand.
And so it's hard enough to figure that out, but a lot of people have trouble figuring out what ground they are on. And I'll give a specific example. I went to a BLM office. I work for a private timber company to get some stuff signed, an agreement between the timber company and the BLM. And in front of me was a woman getting a Christmas tree permit. And I live in Coos Bay, so the Coos Bay BLM office, and she was asking where she can go cut down a Christmas tree. And they gave this woman a paper map, and she said, okay, where is I-5 from here? To put that in, so people will understand, I-5 is about 2 hours from where we're at, and not on the map. It's an interstate, so it's not the best frame of reference if you're trying to go north or south because it runs north and south. So essentially they're just giving this woman a paper and sending her out in the woods. She has no idea where she is or was, where she's going. She just moved here, and she was probably going to do what most people do in our area. They get a permit from the BLM, and then they go cut down some trees on private timber ground, which is in fact illegal because most of the trees that are cut down are crop trees. And when I say crop trees, I mean a tree that's supposed to be grown for commercial crop purposes.
Well, nothing's better than having your own private property defaced and cut down.
And so this woman is probably not going to be able to figure out where she's going. And there's tools to help you. So most state forest, national forest will have a program. So it's not their program. The program is called Avenza Maps. And if you go onto their website, a lot of times they'll have maps that you can download that'll tell you where you are, where you're going. And all it is you download a certain map. It shows you as a blue dot. It can help you navigate. Even if they don't have maps on their website, they have to be in a Geo PDF format, but most of they're pretty easy to find if you go search for them on their website. And even if you just use Avenza, you can pull up, like say you know generally what area you're going. It's Avenza, Avenza. You can search for, it's just an app that allows you to download PDF maps with location data in it So you can download custom maps, you can purchase maps. So really, if you have a program on your computer, you can make your own maps and put them into a Geo PDF. So there's all sorts of kinds, but most BLM districts will have maps available to download, and they'll be in a PDF format, and you need a Venza or some other app to reference them. You can only have like 2 maps downloaded with a free version, but that's usually pretty good for you can cycle them in and out. So if that's all you're going to use it for, I recommend using it for hiking or anything else. Once you get the hang of it, it really helps your navigation in the not Google Maps areas. If you don't have service, it still works. And so if the BLM or whoever you get your stuff from doesn't have maps available, and this is the hard part, so the federal government operates in a way that they think all of us understand their lingo. So they'll say, oh, this map is for Mineral Creek District. That means literally nothing to me.
Wait, Nick, are you telling me the government's incompetent?
It's that they are competent at what they do. Okay, that's not even true. Okay, so like I said, I work for a private timber company. So if I tell my buddy, oh, hey, there's a slide at the 6 Mile on the East Fork of the Smith, he'll know where that is, right? But the government operates the same way. They'll put out that information to the public. No one knows what that means. Or they'll say there's a road closure at the 38 Mile at the Edson Creek Bridge. No one knows. I don't even know what the Edson Creek Bridge is. But they operate in the assumption that everything they know, everyone else knows. So it's really hard to get your data from them. What I suggest doing, if you are someone who recreates a lot, you've probably gotten an ad for Onyx before. There's multiple different kinds, but the cheapest is Onyx Backcountry. It's ONYX, and then Backcountry. There's also Onyx Hunt and Onyx, I think, Off-Road or Trail. And these are apps that you can find an area where you want. You can download either a mile wide, super specific data set, 10 miles wide, or 150 miles wide rough data set. And it'll download the roads and ownership. And for Onyx Backcountry, it'll just tell you private or federal, or private or public. So any public land will be highlighted a different stage or a different color. So you can very easily tell if you're on public or private ground. This is what I use all the time if I'm backpacking or we're just looking for a place to camp on federal ground somewhere. The best way to make sure I'm not trespassing and not going to wind up in jail. So most of the time what I'll do, if I'm going to go somewhere, I'll look at my map and look for use Google Earth. Or if you do buy Onyx, you can log in on your computer, and you can use the satellite view to look for areas that are federal ground or public ground. So the best thing to do is look for areas that have young trees. Okay, if you see just green, that's probably a closed canopy. So you're not going to find a lot of trees there. But say you looked around, you figured out where you're going. Now, how do you decide which tree to get? Now, obviously, we're going to try and find, the nicest looking Christmas tree that's going to fill your living room the best way. Get that. I'm not going to sit here and lecture on how to find the best or what Christmas tree looks the best. All I'm going to tell you is how I choose Christmas trees. So while I have to balance, I am married, so I have to find a good looking Christmas tree. I'm also a forester and I want to improve the health of the forest. So I'm looking for a good form tree, right, that my wife's going to like, that fits in our living room and is going to hold all the ornaments. But I'm also looking for a tree that is growing a little bit too close to other trees, or is growing somewhere where it's going to get damaged, like right on the road edge or somewhere where there's other trees that are bigger than it, and this tree is going to get crowded out, or it's going to have to be trimmed back because it's too close to the road. what I like to do is find trees, and this is super easy on federal ground, find areas where there's a bunch of trees. Assume each tree needs about 10 feet rough distance from the next tree. Different species more or less, but 10 foot is a good benchmark. And I like to find a tree that's, say, 5 feet from two other trees. Well, that tree that's a little smaller, that tree is going to get killed anyway once those other trees top over it and shade out all its light. You might as well kill that tree, take it home, and then let those other two trees use all the nutrients that tree is going to use up to then die.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Exactly. That's the way I see it. And the other thing is, me personally, as a forester who grows primarily Douglas fir, I get tired of looking at fir trees. So I'll bring home a few other trees, right? So we've had redwoods, we've had cedars. I think this year we'll do a hemlock, just because if my job is to look at fir trees all day, sometimes the last thing I want to do is come home and look at a fir tree. So find a tree that makes sense to cut. Find a tree that is going to die on its own. Look at it. Just really look around and just think about how those trees are going to grow. Add 10 feet to the trees and make, in your mind, imagine them as they grow taller and wider, what's going to happen to the trees beneath, and use that to think about this tree will or won't die. And at the worst case scenario, you cut down a tree that, it could have died any other way. Trees die. They're not immortal. But I think just the act of thinking, imagining the lifespan of this tree and how everything is going to play out will help people better understand how the forest works. And also, you get to take ownership of that forest. Like, you are choosing to take a lesser tree is managing that forest. You're removing the tree that's going to die and just become just downed woody debris, fuel for a wildfire. The more space between trees, the less chance that fire is going to jump from tree to tree. I mean, it's like the easiest thing we can do. If we're going out already to cut a tree, we might as well help the rest of the forest out, right?
Hey, a lot of people will get Christmas trees, and if doing so helps the environment, I mean, why not?
So lastly, I guess we should discuss how to cut down your Christmas tree. Now, I love chainsaws, but I feel like Christmas trees deserve to be cut down by hand with the handsaw or an axe, and then cleaned up with a chainsaw. But that's just me. What do you think, Mike?
I like axes. Fuck a handsaw, but I would say axes. I just like chopping wood, so that's just
right. It's like
preference.
If you're gonna go out and get a Christmas tree, you might as well do it the old-fashioned way.
Hey, chop your own wood, be twice as warm.
And then, of course, there's one more important topic I forgot: bringing home the Christmas tree. Now, this is one that I've seen quite a few fails on. A lot of people get very preoccupied in getting the Christmas tree. It seems like they don't always think about how they're getting it home. Now, as someone who has a pickup truck, it's pretty easy for me to just throw it in the bed of the pickup. But I've seen many a Subaru with a tree that's hanging off the side of the car because it wasn't properly tied down. For liability reasons, I don't want to tell you how to tie your Christmas tree down, but I just want to say
straps exist for a reason
before you go out there. Whether you're going to, if you have something to ratchet strap down to, that's great. Whether you're going to use some baling twine and just open all your car doors and tie it through the roof there, but don't be that guy. Don't be the Christmas vacation guy, because we are driving past you and we are laughing at you. If you're thinking we weren't laughing at you, you're wrong. Oh my God. We were visiting my brother in Colorado, and we saw this guy with this Christmas tree, and there's some judgment here, but it was the saddest Charlie Brown Christmas tree I've ever seen.
Oh no.
And it was like not super tied down well, and every gust of wind it looked like it was going to fly off the top. It didn't, but it was stressful watching it.
Grandma got impaled by a Christmas tree.
So that's all I had. Just to reiterate, make sure you're on public ground. Make sure you're where you need to be. See if you can find a tree that's ready to go. But most importantly, it's one that makes your wife happy. So that supersedes ecological benefit, I think. Thanks for listening to the Backyard Philosophy Podcast. We rarely finish a podcast without missing a point we wanted to bring up, so let us know what we forgot. And if you have a topic you want us to talk about, let us know at Backyard Philosophy on Instagram and Backyard Philosophy Podcast on Facebook.